Well, right around this time, around 79, that's when you met Donald Trump.
Yes, yes.
How'd you guys meet?
Well, in it was 1980, actually. 1980, I started my own bodyguard service. And
Charlie's Angels Bodyguard Service?
Yeah. I was a Hell's Angel. My name was Charlie Chuck.
Oh, okay. So Charlie's Angels. Okay,
Charlie's Angels Bodyguard Service.
Got it.
And I had my logo was a flying kickboxer, with wings and boxing gloves. So I started doing that. Actually, how I got involved in that, we'll go back to 1979. We did a bike show. We used to do all the bike shows in the New York Coliseum and Westchester County Center. And at the time, they have these celebrities that show up every year. Like they had, Burt Ward and Adam West from, Batman, of course. One day they had Robert Conrad there. So there was a big crowd around Robert Conrad. He had a big bodyguard with him. He says, "Hey, could you help me get him in the back room?" So I said, "Of course." So, of course, I had my Hells Angel patch on. And almost, like the Red Sea, they parted. So we got in the back, and I started talking to him. I said, "Hey, is this, a lucrative business?" He goes, "Yeah, it's great. I make a lot of money." I said, "Well, how'd you get started?" He goes, "You know what? Make a card up, think of a catchy name, and start giving your cards out. And before you know it, somebody will call you." So, of course, I came up with Charlie's Angels Bodyguard Service. I had cards made up. I used to go, I remember, after the Leonard Durant fight, I was at the Academy of Music with John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. We were watching the fight.
Yeah. Wow.
And they said, "Hey, we're going to go up to this bar up on the west side called Cafe Essential." And I never drank, smoked, or took a drug in my life. So I said, "You know what? I don't really like to hang out at a place I don't know." They said, "Look, there's a lot of girls are there, ballerinas, a lot of actors come." So I went up there with them. And this place, Cafe Essential, was up on Amsterdam Avenue. And at any time, doesn't matter what day of the week it was, there'd be 10 celebrities there. Bruce Willis was the bartender. Yeah. So I went up there, and it was funny because I went there. Of course, I had my Hells Angel patch on, and I was walking around. I said, "Wow, all these, De Niro was there, and Al Pacino, and Liza Minnelli, and Cher, and every actor you could think of, John Goodman, and Treat Williams, and Peter Riegert, all those guys back then." And I said, "Wow, look at this." So next thing you know, this guy comes up to me, goes, the maitre d'. He goes, "How you doing?" He goes, "My name's Paul Herman." He shook my hand. He goes, "I'm going to have to ask you to take the jacket off because you're scaring the customers." So I says, "Hey, pal," I said, "I don't take my patch off for anybody." He goes, "Well, I'm going to have to ask you to leave them because, you're scaring the customers." I says, "Look, I came up here with two of my friends. When they leave, I'll leave." He goes, "Look, my boss is asking me." I said, "You tell your boss to come see me." So with that, this little guy comes over, Peter Herrera, his name was. And he goes, "Well, what's the problem?" I said, "Well, your guy told me I have to take my patch off." He goes, "Well, you're scaring all my customers. So if you don't take it off, you have to leave." I says, "Well, I'm not leaving until my friends leave." I said, "Sit down." So we sat down in the booth, and we started talking. I said, "First of all, yes, I'm a Hell's Angel, but I don't drink, I don't smoke, I never took a drug in my life." We started talking. Half hour later, he goes, "You know what? You're welcome here anytime you want." And that became my new home. Every night I was there.
Okay.
So then, after talking to Robert Conrad's bodyguard, so I came up with the name Charlie's Angels Bodyguard. I started handing cards out. So I started handing cards to all these actors. Liza Minnelli calls me the next day. She goes, "My sister's doing a play called Snoopy on Broadway. She's getting death threats. I'd like you to bodyguard her." I said, "Absolutely." She goes, "Well, how much?" I said, "Well, first, I'll do it gratis. If we get along with each other, fine." I started working for her. The next thing you know, Liza calls me to work for herself. And she was doing a play, called The Rink with Cheetah Rivera at the Martin Beck Theater on Broadway. So every night I would be with her. And let me jump back a little, because when I was at Cafe Central, that was my new home. So what happened one night, some guys started a problem with me. I was with Paul Herman, and a guy took my soda right off the table. He's drinking. I said, I didn't even know who this guy was, never saw him. I say, man, that's my soda. He goes, so what? I said, so what? I said, okay. I says, look, I don't want a problem, but, I'll give you a problem. He goes, well, there's 3 of us, So we went outside, 3 shots, knocked 3 guys out, right in the middle of the street. As they're falling, who comes around the corner? Peter Herrera in a cab. And he had Treat Williams and Peter Weller in the car with him. And he jumps out, see, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And Pete, these guys started with him. He just finished it. The next thing you know, that night, he offers me a job as a bouncer.
Oh.
At Cafe Central.
Okay.
But the only thing was I had to wear a suit. I couldn't wear my patch.
You can't wear the patch, right.
I wore a suit. And then I wore the suit. I started mingling with everybody there. Like I said, Bruce Willis was the bartender. He used to make me 8 creams. And that's how I got to know everybody. And I started working for Liza. Everybody who came to see Liza, everybody. I mean, every walk of life came to see her in the back, in the dressing room. So they had to go through me, so I met everybody there. Al Pacino and, who's Don Rickles and you name it, they were there. Elizabeth Taylor. So one night I go in, I went in and I says, Elizabeth Taylor said, I'd like to see Liza. Now everybody had to go through me to see Liza. I said, can you wait a minute? Let me see if she's, ready and everything. I went up there and I says, Liza, Elizabeth Taylor, I'd like to see you. She goes, you made Elizabeth Taylor wait outside? I says, yes. She goes, I love you. And that's how I started getting to know everybody. And I started working for everybody. And I became known as the bodyguard to the stars in the 80s. And I started working for everybody. And that's how it all started.
Right. You worked for a lot of people. Sylvester Stallone.
Liza Minnelli was my first. I worked for Elizabeth Taylor. I worked for Michael Jackson. I worked for...
okay, so hold on a sec. Michael Jackson.
Yes.
How much work did you do for him?
Excuse me?
How much work did you do for Michael Jackson?
Oh, no. Michael Jackson, it was just... it was a one night when he came to see Liza. My job was to get him around and go to him in a hotel and everything else. And in fact, one night I had another problem, and I had a suit on, and another 3 guys started in the other club, and I had my ripped pants, and he's looking at me, he goes, what happened to your pants? I said, oh, it's a long story. He started, giggling, and Liza, and I was with Liza also, and we were at his hotel room. But he was a great guy. He was just awesome human being, There's only one Michael Jackson. Yeah. Just like Elvis, there was only one Elvis.
Yeah, I mean, at his funeral, they said he was the greatest entertainer of all time, and there's really not a big argument against that.
Except for Elvis.
I think it depends on the generation. I think your generation will say Elvis, my generation.
I'm a big Elvis nut.
Yeah.
TCB, take care of business in a flash.
There you go.
TCB, take care of business in a flash.
There you have it. Right. Like I said, Sylvester Stallone, who's still a good friend of yours. Mickey Rourke.
Charlie Sheen.
You became his boxing coach, right, Mickey?
No, we boxed around a little. We got in the ring once.
Got it. Sean Penn,
Charlie Sheen, everybody.
Angelina Jolie.
I
guess the Hells Angels had a 50th anniversary party, and that was your date.
Yes. After I was in the movie Gia with her.
Oh, you were in that movie?
Yes.
Oh, that was one of her early movies.
Yes. That's like one of her first ones, and that made her a superstar.
Yeah, exactly.
She was playing the model Gia Karanji.
Exactly.
And after that, a few weeks later, we went to the Hells Angels having a 50th anniversary party in San Bernardino. So I took her with me to California. And then after San Bernardino, we rode to Ventura, California, and ended the party there. So we rode in the rain all the way there, like an hour and a half. And she just
that's a ways. These are not close places that you're talking about.
No.
It
was a good hour and a half away. Yeah, maybe 2 hours away to Ventura.
Exactly.
And she was on the back holding on in the rain, and we had probably had a couple of hundred Hells Angels riding the pack.
Yeah, she was
and
safe.
she was a trooper, man. She was great. She was awesome, Angelina.
Pamela Anderson.
Pamela Anderson, yes.
Didn't you ask to marry her at one point?
Yeah, she said if my name was Pamela Zito, he said I'd never have a problem. I said,
Right.
yeah. But she, I think I went through 5 husbands with her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cher.
Cher.
Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier.
Any interesting stories with Ali?
Excuse me?
Any interesting stories with Muhammad Ali?
No, he was just, I always said Muhammad Ali was the first rapper.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he rhymed.
He was awesome.
You know?
And
flow like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Like, yeah.
He was just great. I mean, he was the most recognizable face on the planet at one time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was just he's a humble guy, awesome guy. And so was Joe Frazier, you know. Toro Gade used to work for. Bernard Hopkins I worked for, a bunch of guys.